New information this afternoon about the shooting that left one man dead and sent a probation officer to the hospital.
The shooting at the Georgia Department of Corrections probation office downtown in Augusta was breaking news here yesterday, first at 5. We later learned it happened as officers were working to get Travis Berrien into custody. News 12's Christie has been tracking this story for us all day long. She's live in our newsroom. And Christie, we now know the suspect who was killed was actually a murder suspect.
That's right, Richard, and we also know the name of that officer. Cheryl Latasha Warren is the probation officer who was shot yesterday. Problem is, no shots were supposed to be fired in that room, and now we know there was one gun that wasn't supposed to be there either.
We are today releasing that Mr. Berrien did have a firearm on his person somewhere.
It was supposed to be a peaceful arrest when officers called Travis Berrien to this office to take him into custody. But instead, it ended with 2 people shot. We know 6 officers were in the room when it happened and 2 shots were fired. But we now know Berrien had a gun of his own when he walked through these doors.
He had a gun on him when he came into the office. Now, like I said, I can't get into who fired the shot or which gun fired the shots. I will say there's only 2 shots fired.
Morgan says Berrien was called to the state probation office because of an arrest warrant out of Statesboro. According to police there, he was one of 5 suspects in a murder last month.
Statesboro, Georgia police are conducting a homicide investigation, and the warrant for Mr. Berrien was for murder.
Berrien also has an extensive criminal history here in Augusta, including charges for aggravated assault and hindering the apprehension of a felon. Deputies also wanted to question him for a double homicide back in 2010. But yesterday's arrest was in reference to his most recent charge for murder out of Statesboro. The plan was to take him to the Richmond County Jail. Instead, he got a trip to the hospital. Berrien ultimately died from his injuries, but a statement from the Department of Corrections released today says Officer Warren is in stable condition and is expected to make a full recovery. And while yesterday's struggle ended in gunshots, today's struggle is for answers.
It'll be one of our priority cases. These always are.
Morgan says Berrien's autopsy will be performed tomorrow in Atlanta. They're hoping to recover a bullet that they can compare to the firearm they believe was fired.
Christie, I know it's early, details are limited, but do we know what kind of gun he had or where the victims were shot?
Well, Special Agent Morgan would not say, but according to this press release out of Statesboro, Berrien produced a handgun and Officer Warren was shot in the abdomen.
All right, Christie, thank you for the update.